Probably a baby dresser. It is pram time. Brutal. It took a little more oomph. The legs. I am gonna do something that I don't normally do. Peel and stick wallpaper is maybe my nemesis. It's delicious. I love it so much. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Mahala and on my channel I do DIYs, room makeovers and furniture flips. We have a furniture flip today that I found on the side of the street. It was probably a baby dresser before I took it because it says milk powder and diaper on it. Don't we love that? It's also about 99% MDF. Because it's MDF, you better believe that there is water damage to this piece. It's gotta go. So throughout this video, I'm gonna show you guys how to repair MDF. I'm still learning as well, so we'll kind of learn a little bit together and see if we can fix this piece up and make it look a little bit better than it currently does at the moment. The first thing that I need to do is remove the hardware so that we can get into prepping this piece. This hardware is kind of interesting because there were hardware holes. Someone's made more hardware holes and not covered up the last lot of holes. Does that make sense? You get what I mean. Let's get the hardware off and then we will talk about how to clean water damaged MDF. This hardware is already pretty loose, so it's, yeah. Basically this hardware is falling off. I'm definitely not planning to reuse. What is that? Okay, so they've actually used a screw, like a proper screw, not a hardware screw with a flat end. I don't know what that's called, but they've used a real one. How bizarre. We've got all the hardware off. I've got it in a little container here. To be perfectly honest, every single piece of this is plastic except for one, which is a ceramic piece. So I'll probably hold on to that one. The plastic ones, I mean, I'm a hoarder, so I will keep them, but it's very unlikely that I will ever use them. I mean, maybe. I don't know though, but we'll see. Water damaged MDF, step number one. It's time to clean this piece. Now, normally I would use a Dawn dish soap with some warm water or some sort of spray cleaner. However, it's super important that if you want to sand MDF, that it is dry. I picked this piece up off the side of the street when it was a little bit rainy and wet. It has dried out. I don't want to wet it anymore and cause any more water damage to happen given its current state. So instead of cleaning this piece with water in the way that I normally would, we're actually just going to vacuum it and use a microfiber cloth, maybe with just like a spritz of water on there just so it picks up a little bit more, but pretty much a dry microfiber cloth. So that's how we're going to clean this piece instead of the regular way of cleaning it, just to make sure that we keep the MDF that's exposed and water damaged dried out. In the process of vacuuming, I've flipped this piece over and I want to remove these little feet on here because there's only 3 of them and there's 4 legs. It just doesn't make sense to keep it. We're just gonna get these off carefully. This is literally crumbling. Like, it's just falling to pieces. I have no idea how old this is, but it is not in good shape. That is for sure. Oh yeah. Just making it harder to get it off with it crumbling. But there we go. Hey, removed. 2 more to go. The top broke off. Oh no! Oh! It's working, it's working, it's working. Success! Yes! Yeah, it completely broke out of the little cap. This piece is about as clean as it's gonna get, and you will have noticed I did actually do a little bit of a mist of water onto my cloth because there were some marks that really you had to use a little bit of water to get it off. But I've given it a little bit of time to dry, and there was very, very, very minimal water actually used on the cloth, just enough to kind of buff out some of those marks. So now we're going to get into the sanding, and I did a fair bit of research on the sandpaper grit that you should use when repairing MDF, and a lot of people said around 120 to 150. I am going to hedge on the side of cautiousness just to start with and go with a 220 grit. Hopefully we can get that MDF nice and smooth.
In the air, and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Dreamy, breezy, we go. Easy on our tiptoes.
This piece is coming along. I obviously still have some more sanding to do because it's never done. But my whole plan for this project has completely changed. Originally, I was gonna go like a lavender purple color and just stencil everything, kind of like a piece I did a little while ago. I'll pop that video up for you guys where I did, it was pink and that had like this pretty flower stenciling action going on. So I was kind of gonna do the same sort of thing with this piece, but with purple, and then more stencils. So on the top, on the sides, on the legs. But then I discovered how pretty these legs are sanded, and I really like the natural wood. It's pretty much the only natural wood in this piece. So I've just changed my whole plan. We're not doing purple anymore. We will do a green color, which I'll show you guys a bit later, onto the finer details in the drawers. Brutal. That's all. Hand sanding is brutal. I will never underestimate how impressive my orbital sander is ever again. Like, I just had to do little tiny trim bits and I'm dead. Absolutely dead. It's not my favorite. I haven't even gotten to the drawers yet, but that is gonna have to be tomorrow because it is after 7. So it just feels like a little bit rude to be sanding after 7 p.m. for my neighbor's sake, but I do need to do a little vacuum and a little tidy up, so I'm going to do that. And then we're just gonna keep working on this piece. I'll deal with the drawers tomorrow. Just thinking about the design that I'm actually going for, and I think I'm gonna remove this piece if it's easy to get off. This is a little frillier than what I had planned or am currently now planning. So yeah, I think I'm gonna see if I can get this off. And I have the wrong screwdriver. Good. Get it. I think that was definitely the right call to make. Also, this was pretty damaged anyway. You can see along the edges, it's just really rough. It's MDF. It wasn't worth keeping, in my opinion. Yeah. That is what time it is. It is prime time. I am going to pop on the primer before I do my repairs just because this is quite patchy, and I know that often I will pop on a coat of primer and then I'll be like, oh, there is another repair that I didn't see, but now I can see it a lot clearer with the primer. So I am going to do that first. I know I'm going to need to pop down at least 2 coats of primer anyway. So if I pop 1 coat down, then I've got a clean surface, or like a blank canvas, so to speak, to kind of see where all my repairs are needed. And I am going to be using the shellac based primer because it's just going to be a little bit better going on the MDF that was water damaged rather than putting on a water-based primer. So having the shellac base should seal that in a little bit better and prevent any kind of raising of the MDF, the exposed MDF. So that's why we're going to go with the shellac base one.
Down.
Now that I've got a coat of primer on, I have a little bit of a better idea of the places that I need to patch, and I'm just going to use this wood filler in the color Natural. I will pop some across the parts where the MDF is exposed and on little repair parts. The reason I'm popping it across the exposed parts is because, as you can see here, there's kind of a little bit of indentation in the actual exposed part of the MDF, so that needs to be covered up, made nice and smooth.
Never figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say
now we sand. So I've got a 220 grit sandpaper. I'm just gonna wrap that around this little sanding block and just give it a light sand. Just popping on my second coat of primer. I actually think I might end up doing 3 coats just to make sure I've got a really good coverage of this and I'm protecting the MDF underneath the paint as much as possible. Plus, I don't know if it's normal, but with my primer, it's actually super thin. I'm not really sure why.
somewhere in the great unknown. When I return from the afterglow, will you carry me like I am whole again?
It is time to work on these drawers. I really cannot possibly put this off any longer. I think what I want to do is procrastinate on the sanding, so I'm actually going to wood fill the holes here. It's a big old mess, so we've got 4 holes on these drawers that gotta go. I will be replacing them with hardware on either side anyway, so not a centered piece. There'll be 2 pulls on either side, so I don't need the center holes anyway. So we're gonna fill those and then I'll get to the sanding. This piece has been a lot of sanding so far, so I think I'm allowed to procrastinate just like a little bit longer. I'm just gonna use that same wood filler in Natural and I'm gonna fill these all right up.
I know it's nothing new, but it's so good to see you.
I took off that baseboard a little while ago, the frilly one, and I played around with a couple different pieces that could potentially replace it. I just wanted to use a piece of wood that I already had to replace this, and if I go for one of the other pieces that I was thinking about, is a little too thick, so I'd have to spend quite a bit of time sanding it down, and I think we've all learned from this particular video, Mahala doesn't want to sand anymore. I have to. I still have the drawers to go, but we're going to get this piece on, and I think this is going to be perfect. It's a little thinner, so it will sit in from the legs just a tiny bit, but it means I don't have to sand it down as intensely as I would if I went for one of the other pieces I have. And to cut this, I'm going to attempt to use these. So these are miter shears. I have used them before and they've worked really, really well. I don't know if they're going to work on this piece because it's a little bit bigger than the previous pieces I've cut, but we're going to try it and see. So I marked somewhere. Where did I mark this? Maybe, did I mark it? Oh, I definitely put a mark on here. Well, there it is. Yeah, so I marked up where I need to make my cut, and then we're just gonna cut it. Probably need to put it on the ground.
In and out of love.
I got it done. Unfortunately, I didn't press record on this on my actual camera. But I did record it on my phone, so you guys will have seen that. It's pretty good, to be honest. It took a little more oomph than I was hoping for. I probably wouldn't necessarily recommend it for a piece of this size. I'd probably recommend going for the electrical miter saw instead. Now the real question is, did I cut it to the right size? Because my goodness, I did! Yes! It fits.
Fires round ourselves, it's deja vu. Memories come back when I'm with you.
The wood filler in the drawers is still drying, and I've got this piece at the bottom attached now, so let's talk paint color. Like I said, originally my plan was to do it in a lavender color, paint the whole thing, and do like a stenciling effect. The legs were just too beautiful to actually cover up, so I decided to change it up, and I'm going for this beautiful color. It's called Everett. It's by Fusion Mineral Paint. I have never used this color before. It looks amazing in the pot, so I'm hoping it looks just as good on the actual piece of furniture, but I think it is the perfect shade of green to go with that natural wood tone. I'm so excited. Look how pretty it is. Ah, I love it. Oh, yes, please. I thought I would spare you guys the whole prep process with the drawers because it is exactly the same as this piece. I sanded, I went into all of the little details around sanding, and I have to say, when I was sanding, there is nothing as satisfying as watching the word diaper and milk powder be sanded away. It was definitely a highlight moment for me, getting rid of that. Then I went in with my primer and, of course, my first coat of paint. But we're now pretty much at the same steps as we are here, except I am going to do something that I don't normally do with drawers. So you can see I've actually primed in here. Now normally I wouldn't do a paint coat on the interior of a drawer, but this is MDF. It was in pretty rough shape. There were huge paint drips from whoever painted this piece previously just running down into this piece. So I primed it, and I am going to pop on a coat of the green paint after giving it a little light sand. We need to get coat number 2 on this dresser body, but I do need to sand first, and it is super important to sand in between your paint coats if you want a really nice smooth finish. Even more important if you're dealing with damaged MDF. I'm using a 220 grit sandpaper and just going over it very, very lightly. You don't need to put a lot of pressure when sanding between your paint coats because you don't want to take off the paint that's already there. You just want to smooth out any imperfections. You can see here how patchy coat number 1 is. Now this is going to change pretty epically by coat number 2. Just finished the 3rd coat of paint on this piece, and so I'm going to take off the tape now. The paint is still drying, but it's always better to remove your tape when the paint is still just like a little bit wet, and the reason is it's less likely to stick and peel paint off. So to be completely honest and transparent with you guys, removing the tape didn't actually go according to plan. So I do have to do some touch-ups. There's just a few of them really, but I've got a little tiny paintbrush and I'm just using the excess in the lid of the paint pot to do those touch-ups. The drawers are looking pretty good. Obviously we need to put in some hardware, top coat, all of that kind of stuff, but first I want to get into something a little prettier. We're going to fill in here with some wallpaper. This is tricky to get off, even if I sand it, like the wood is quite thin. So we're going to cover it with some wallpaper. I've decided that I'm going to go for this wallpaper. I think with the green, like this, yeah, that's not really working for me, but you get the idea. I think it's gonna look really pretty in here, so we're going with this kind of a bit more of like a boho-y vibe, I guess, for this piece. So I just need to cut my pieces and then pop them in, trim everything out. I say it like it's that easy, but you know, I definitely have my struggles with the wallpaper. I'm done. I think, if I'm being honest, peel and stick wallpaper is maybe my nemesis. Bold statement, but I think it might be true. Before I pop on a top coat, I want to do the hardware holes. We're going to pop on my little makeshift template. I measured out where I want everything to go. So once I pop this on, I can mark off where I need to make the holes, and I'm going to make the holes just on this top drawer to start with and check to see if the hardware works. It smells really bad and it's kind of smoking. I don't think in a dangerous way, but it definitely doesn't smell nice. Works! The template works! Oh, thank goodness.
The day before, you're like a stone on my pillow. I don't make a sound when I shut the door.
Fusion mineral paint may be a primer, paint and top coat all in one. However, this piece is about 90% MDF, so we definitely need to pop on a top coat. And I'm going to use a Fusion mineral paint top coat. It's a clear tough coat in matte finish. It's a wipe on top coat, which makes my life a little bit easier. I decided to bring this piece upstairs to pop on the hardware and do my final styling stages because my downstairs looks really awful at the moment. There's so much paint on the vinyl flooring that I've got down. For now, I brought this piece upstairs, so we're gonna pop on the hardware. You guys, can you believe this piece? Remember back to what this piece looked like before? It was all painted white, very badly might I add. There were multiple holes for the hardware on the drawers. The words diaper and milk powder were written in a fluoro pink highlighter across two of the drawers. It was a mess. Now, this piece looks almost unrecognizable. Like, I wouldn't believe it's the same piece. We dealt with the water damage on the top. You can't even see that there was any water damage on the top. It's all completely smooth, flat. We covered up those horrible holes and that writing. It's discovered these beautiful legs. I mean, girl. Looking good. I'm so happy that there was some wood that I could actually bring out in this piece. And then this green. Can we just talk about this green color for one moment? It's delicious. I love it so much. It's so pretty. It's like, ugh, the green of my dreams. The green of my dreams. It's almost a rhyme. Not quite. I know I love it, but let me know what you guys think of the transformation. And if you like this video, definitely remember to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification. That really helps me out if you do. All of those things, or any of those things, even just one of those things, it definitely helps. You can also follow me over on Instagram as well, where you get a little bit more behind the scenes and some photos and some reels, and I'm on TikTok. Say hello. That's it for this week. I will see you guys next week with another video. I'm super excited about this next one because it is a flip for a friend, so stay tuned. I hope she likes it. I think I'm hungry, so talking is kind of hard right now. Maybe I should make some soup. Ultimate protection. Okay. Whew. Ow. Ah, yes, success.